This edition of MacVoices is brought to you by the Take Control ebook series. The answers you need now from leading experts. Get them all at takecontrolbooks.com. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices at the Las Vegas SuperMeet. I'm with Mark Spencer, who has completely torn apart my workflow. He and a couple others during post-production world and put them back together. Mark, hopefully a little bit for the better.
I hope so. That's the point. Yeah.
Well, we're talking to Mark because he is obviously with Ripple Training, and they are bringing out some very, very, very cool new plugins. So, Mark, when I saw these, my head exploded. I mean, how did you ever decide to do this and make it as sophisticated as it is?
Well, what really happened was that once Motion really became a development environment for producing effects for Final Cut Pro 10, that set off a light in my head because it's one thing I know really well is Motion. So last year at NAB, actually 1 year ago, we introduced our first plugin called Callouts. And since then, we've done two more. We've done Optics and we've done Ripple Tools. And now at this NAB, we're introducing a new plugin, our first new one called Timelines.
And the callouts and all are kind of what I would expect. Timeline looks like an application unto itself. It doesn't look like a plugin.
Yeah, it's kind of unusual, and it kind of really pushed the bounds of what's possible. It was kind of tricky to work out, but it's all of our plugins are meant to do something kind of unique and unusual that people need in specific markets rather than a generic thing, and this is one of those kind of examples with Timelines.
Now, I haven't played with it, but watching the demos, the thing that struck me is that it's sophisticated, but it wasn't something that intimidated me and said, oh my God, I could never do this. It would let me do things that I wanted to do and could do.
Well, that's the idea, is you can just drag and drop. So if you have any situation, documentary, any kind of video where you want to show a timeline, an animated timeline as a transition, this does it for you. So you don't have to build it from scratch. You just drop this on your timeline, and then you can move your videos through time by modifying it to make it look the way you want.
And I even thought about presentations that aren't necessarily time-related, that could be just topic-related, as a nice way to bounce from topic to topic in something that's a little better than just a cross-dissolve.
Exactly. I mean, the timelines is the general idea, but already we've seen you can use any kind of process where you're going from one step to the next or one topic to the next. It's a very natural way to provide a transition into another topic.
Would you show us a little bit?
I'd be happy to.
So here we are inside Final Cut, in an environment that everybody finds familiar.
Yeah, so here we are in Final Cut Pro 10, and I've got a timeline and just a couple clips here that I want to add one of these Ripple Timelines to. So Ripple Timelines is a set of transitions. So if we go to the Transitions browser, once you've installed it, it shows up here. Here we are, Ripple Timelines. And there are 8 different sort of templates to start from, and they each do things a little bit differently. If you just skim over them, you can get an idea of what the animation looks like. And the main thing is everything is really customizable about all of these. So for instance, I'll take this one called Progress, and I'll drag it and drop it onto clips. And if we play that there, we immediately have a transition from one point to another. Okay? So the cool thing about this is once you select one, you can really start to modify it in all kinds of interesting ways. First of all, what I'm going to do is there's some quick tips you can turn on up top that give you some general overviews of helpful information that are directly accessible. You don't need to go to a website or try to dig up information. There's some good information right there. But then what I'm going to do is go to the director view, and the director view lets you look at this transition from kind of a bird's eye view. So no matter where the playhead is, it doesn't animate now. It just stays still so you can work on it. So for example, you could change if you have a title, you could change the title here to be education. And we could change each of these titles here. I won't go through the whole thing, but you can change all the text that identifies each date in the timeline or each process or each phase. It doesn't matter. You can reorganize these to put them in different places. So for instance, let's say we really wanted to we'll move this one over and we'll move this one over here. We really wanted to go on these last 2 steps. So I'll bring these guys over. And that will be our transition just between those last 2 clips. And then these first 2 can be drop zones, so I can add any kind of material I want to those drop zones. I can scroll down in the inspector here where I have access to these drop zones, and I can drop other clips in them. So I'll just go ahead and quickly drop a clip in that one, and I'll drop another clip in this one here. And I'll kind of choose a random clip here. Oops. Sorry about that, I just clicked on the wrong thing. So I want to add something to that drop zone, and I'll add that clip to that drop zone. And then you can go through and customize this quite a bit in terms of its look. All the colors you can modify any way you want to change the colors of the gradients in here to anything else you might want. You can change the colors of the background gradient. You can put in an image in the background instead of using the colors that are in here. You can really put in anything here that you want and colorize it any way that you want. Let me just change something in here so you can get a sense of how that works. And we'll change this gradient here to another kind of, let's darken it down there. And once you've made any changes you want, you can move the text anywhere you want. It's really flexible and gives you complete ability to customize this in any possible way. And then when you're done, you can go back to the camera view, and the camera will always go from transition A to transition B. So even though I've moved them over, the camera will now fly from transition A to transition B. Okay, so always will do the same thing. Now, you have some real flexibility because the camera moves over. You're like, oh, I don't really like that framing anymore because the camera's moving way over. But you can go back into the transition inspector and you can adjust the camera path here. So I'll just say, look, actually, when the camera backs up, I want it to frame the whole thing like that. Okay, and then you can say, well, I want it to move up or down. This just changes how the camera, when it pulls back, and where it lands when it pulls back. But it will still start on your outgoing clip, and it will still end up on your incoming clip, and provide an easy way to go from one clip to the next. And the idea is you could use these repeatedly in one project to go, in this case, through 4 separate steps. But other ones they don't have an end point, so you can really use them repeatedly to go as far as you want through as many steps as you'd want to go through. And that's the basic idea, that you can use these to step through any kind of timeline. Here's a different example of the same 2 clips, but a different type of example where you have clips laid out in 3D space. And in this case, you can actually lay those clips out any way you want in 3D space and change the layout at will, either by choosing your own layout or choosing a built-in layout. Like, for instance, I'll do a single file layout here, and I'll have a completely different animation available to move from one clip over to the next. And that's the basic idea of how to work with these and set them up and modify them.
You say basic idea, but there's nothing basic about that. That is so sophisticated and again, so easy that it makes me just want to abandon my presentation programs and start presenting everything with this.
Well, the idea is that hopefully you can just drag it on and use it, but if you want to go deeper, you can see there's a lot of controls in here, so it hopefully appeals to somebody who just needs to quick and dirty, I need a timeline, you can throw it on, but then if you really want to customize this, you can go as far as you want with your own custom backgrounds, and adding as much text. You can combine this by adding text on top of these things. You can put this in a compound clip and create a freeze frame so that when you back out it freezes, and the kind of possibilities are endless. We also have built-in help for these. In the final product that starts shipping next week, there'll be buttons below here for a tutorial and for help where you can go watch movies and get more information on how to take advantage of it.
Mark, like I said when we started this, it's amazing and it feels approachable to me, which is the thing that I like the most. Some of the sessions I went to in post-production world were very helpful, like yours and like Steve Martin's, and there were some others that just were so far over my head. This software makes me want to go home and play.
Great. Well, that's exactly what we wanted, so I'm really glad to hear that.
What kind of pricing is there for this?
So Ripple Timelines is not out yet. We'll be releasing it right after NAB, and the price is going to be probably $59. We'll see when it comes out, and we hope to have some short-term special pricing for people to take advantage of at that time.
And the website where they can find this as well as all the training and everything else you do. Sure.
So all our training and plugins, rippletraining.com. Our plugins themselves are also available through FX Factory, which is noiseindustries.com. So if you have the FX Factory application, all those plugins show up for you in Final Cut Pro 10.
Do they ever let you out of the office except to come to these?
I'm here right now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm thinking the amount of stuff you do, the training, of course, MacBreak, that you do with Steve to help us all learn about Final Cut and all. It's an amazing body of work.
Good. Well, we have some great help that helps us get around. There's some of the guys are here right now that make this all possible, but it's just something we love to do.
Well, thanks for everything. Thanks for a great new toy to play with.
Great. Thank you for talking to me.
Folks, I'll have more from the SuperMeet in Las Vegas. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, app.net, Google+, Facebook, and for more Apple, Mac, and tech-related shows, including MacVoices, Mac Notables, the Mac Jury, and the MacVoices Briefing. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com.